Looking for a new car or expert service? Visit Limerick Motor Centre, your main Hyundai dealer on the Ballysimon Road. A proud family business for over 30 years, we're Ireland's longest-serving Hyundai dealer. With sales, service, parts and finance all under one roof, our dedicated team delivers value, expertise and customer care you can trust. Call 061 417 141 or visit limerickmotorcentre.ie. Limerick Motor Centre, driving with you for over 30 years.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello and you're very welcome along to episode 366 of Treaty Talk. It is Tom Clancy here and with Matt O'Callaghan taking another break. His second one of the year already. I don't know, I mustn't be paying him well enough, but Matt's taking a break and delighted to say that our guest on this week's show is, I suppose, as I described a minute ago to his good self, the jack of all trades and the master of a few, Ger Downes, the chairperson of Knockaderry GAA, a man who's coached plenty teams, clubs and individuals, I'm sure, across the county. People will recognise the name, they'll recognise the face. He's done a bit of a commentary in between. Ger, how's all with you and how's life?
I love that introduction, Tom. Fantastic, thanks very much. A span of a lot of things, but I disagree with you. I think master of none yet.
That's it. We're always striving towards mastering something anyway. You're remarking at our intro there, Mr. Kieran Carey. Every now and again our guests will pick up on that intro. Would you have any memories of that day in the Gaelic grounds? A famous point and fantastic days for Limerick. It's a little bit, I was born, but too early for me, I think.
Yeah, sure. The summer of '96. I remember '94 well. I was 9 years of age in the Cusack stand, down at the Hill 16 end when those goals started to go in, and it's a vivid memory from my childhood and the silence coming down the Dublin Road. But thankfully, all those moments have been erased over what's gone on in the last 10 years for Limerick. Kieran Carey, I remember being at the opposite side of that. I was actually explaining this to a number of students about 2 weeks ago. Colin McMahon, a teacher in school and a great Limerick man, and myself were reminiscing, and we put it on for a bunch of students, and I was telling them about being at the far side of the field, the uncovered side, and being crushed up against the wall and seeing it through the wire as Kieran grabbed that ball and went up the field. And I just remember the heat and the noise. And I remember something very vivid coming to the Davin Arms after our car park was parked there. And Mihalimer Hurtig, we had a Volkswagen Jetta, and we turned on the Radio 1, and he said the big news from the Gaelic grounds is the All-Ireland champions are out. Limerick are in the Munster final. And it's a moment in my childhood that I will never forget. It was just a real serene moment. And Kieran Carey, an icon. We were lucky to have him last Saturday night at our dinner dance in Knockaderry, and I revealed another bit of a story that night that I'll share with you if you don't mind now.
No problem.
He got a great chuckle out of it. I said I got my confirmation in 1996, and my confirmation name is Kieran.
Well, there we go. I was going to say, did all that, 94, 96 and everything around that, did it capture the imagination? I think it did, Ger. I think it did. So you got your confirmation before this match? I presume the match would have been in May or June, would it have been? So
yeah, it would have been, I suppose.
So you were preempting a moment of magic from the Patrick Swell man. So
yeah, and I suppose Kieran was the player at that time with Patrick Swell, and Limerick had such a brilliant campaign in '94 as well, and he was front and center, and still one of my favorite hurling, my favorite people in terms of hurling icons, and I still believe he's a person that could play and a player that would fit into the modern game. And I suppose there's very few from the past, because hurling has changed so much, that you could say that about. But I think Kieran he has that athleticism, that steeliness, that aggressiveness, and he has that skill as well, that I think would still suit the modern game. And he'd do a job for John Kiley. He's fit enough still anyway, I can tell you that. So I'm sure he'd be ready for a call up if he got it.
Yeah, yeah. I know reports of him playing hurling last season, but he was playing football down in the inaugural junior C grade. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. This man shows no signs of letting up. Ger, that was something that was a lovely tangent to start us off. Something that we didn't have in our schedule, but I suppose we're going to look at a bit of Fitzgibbon. We're going to talk about that crest on your jersey there, Knockaderry, and some of the ongoings in 2025 and in recent years as well. But I suppose we're going to start with Limerick senior hurlers. A lot of our viewers and listeners love to chat about Limerick hurlers, especially on the back of a victory. And probably no harm that we always get, anytime we get a victory over Kilkenny. They were few and far between for a long while. It was Kilkenny's first trip to the Gaelic Grounds since 2010, which was when Nicky Quaid was playing out the field. That'll tell you how long ago that was. But Limerick getting the win at the weekend, positive steps forward and a positive response from John Kiley's troops following that loss in Waterford.
Yeah, and it was to be expected, and I think in this league, home games are going to be very important for everybody. And I was expecting a bounce back from Limerick, as everybody was. Again, league games are what they are. Teams are training hard. There's lots going on behind the scenes in terms of week in, week out. You travel on a bus and away. Maybe you've trained hard in the week beforehand. It can be very hard to get yourself up, and definitely being at home, you have that advantage a little bit more. And I think we saw that with Waterford the week before, a little bit with Limerick this weekend as well. But I thought it was a fine performance. Felt they were in control. I know Kilkenny had a lot of wides, but still you felt Limerick had more there if they needed it. And I think all in all, it's been well said by John and co over the week that they were happy with the performance. Loads to work on. But again, you have to temper league performances with where teams are at in their calendar, what are they playing for in terms of training for a little bit later on in the year. And there has to be a time when they're going to be physically absolutely at it on the boards to get themselves ready for later on. And you've got to pick a window somewhere to do that. And often it's in around these few weeks that you need to get that base done to allow yourself a chance to pull back and taper for a little bit later on with the championship in mind.
Yeah, and I suppose there's no point in peaking in the first week of February if you're any county, and no less for Limerick. Limerick as well, of course, when the championship fixtures come around, don't play until round 2 in that. So you mentioned the word tapering there. They were the last team out in the league. They'll be the last team to take the field in the championship. So while it's only a week at either side, that has to be a factor as well, because again, no point in Limerick coming hot and heavy into the league to do well in the first couple of rounds if that means that the foot won't be on the gas come April time.
And I think with that, Limerick would fancy a real push off the latter stages of the league to allow for that game that they're not getting in the first round. And the draws is quite difficult in the first 2 rounds when you're away from home. And I think that having a league final may be on the horizon for John Kiley, and it may be in his sights in terms of keeping the team sharp, getting a competitive edge right up to, just before we play that first round of the Munster Championship. And it's going to be very interesting. I think he'll be quite happy that he got minutes into lots of different players. We're beginning to see a few newer players emerge, or I suppose not necessarily newer players, but players developing a little bit more, talking about Aidan O'Connor in particular. Interesting to see him taking all of the frees on Sunday with Aaron Gillane on the field. Again, at the end, I know Diarmuid came up and took the penalty. Is Diarmuid going to be your penalty taker? Would Aaron have took it if he was on the field? Would Aidan have took it? Again, these are the things I suppose that you're just asking yourself at the moment in terms of what's going to be happening a little bit later on. Again, William at 6, positive enough outing. I suppose he may need a little bit more cover outside of him. does Kyle Hayes come into the conversation at 6 now? And does William do that brilliant job that he's done for Limerick for so long in terms of sitting in front of that 6 and cutting that ball off and protecting that space? Or are they going to go with Adam English and Cian Lynch? Or does Dara Donovan come back and have a say into the middle again, who is, looking sharp there through the Munster League and getting minutes in the last day as well? So lots to answer. Very hard to read anything at the moment because, as I said, John is definitely watching the training load, the volume. And again, interesting to see once 50 minutes came, he started to wheel players off. And that's all to do with just getting it right, making sure injury isn't, we're not getting too close to that injury line with certain players, particularly those more experienced players, we'll call them. And again, introducing minutes into his panel, which is what they'll want to do and what they'll want to see over the next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, are you surprised? I wouldn't have the exact number, but shall we say of the experienced and the kind of more senior players? Are we surprised that we saw so many of them at the weekend? Typically, at the first couple of rounds of the league down the years, we might have seen maybe one in each line, and there might have been, the rookies, if you like, for want of a better word, peppered in the side. But I mean, we were looking at, I think I had figures gone out of the top of my head. Was it 12 guys that have started All Ireland finals for Limerick in recent times that started this game? It might have been 11 and 12. You've Barry Nash playing, you've Dermot Burns, William O'Donoghue, even Nicky Quaid playing 2 league games in a row to start a league campaign. Not always been the case. Is this a case maybe that Limerick ended 2025 empty-handed and they're trying to ramp it back up, and of course they ended 2025 a fraction earlier, well probably a month earlier than they might have envisaged. So is this a case of the gauntlet has been thrown down to all the squad? Just let's see what they can bring to the table.
There's possibly a little bit of that in it as well. Fitzgibbon Cup is in too, and I'm sure Johnny is cognizant of allowing players that are involved in that, trying to bring them away from being exposed too much to it, to let them bodies be somewhat fresh for this coming Friday night. But I'd say again, we don't know what the injury situation is with certain players either. But I think there's probably a lot of merit in what you said. He is trying to push it on and trying to get minutes into certain players. Again, points well made after the game. Very interesting about players that haven't played even some of the club campaign at the end of the year, and it's important to kind of roll on with those. I think you mentioned David Reedy. I think you mentioned Aaron Gillane. Very important for those guys to get more minutes and get match fitness in under their belt as well. Do I think we'll see a few more younger players come through over the next couple of weeks? I think we will. I think he may experience a little bit more when he's got a fuller hand back, and obviously that will be after this Friday night in particular.
Yeah, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but just one player to pick out, Matthew Fitzgerald. He's a fresher in University of Limerick. There's a guy now that is, we've seen him further up the field from Owen down the years, and already he's done admirably well. And I won't say exceptionally well. He's done very well in both games, a cornerback and now wing back. So he's certainly given food for thought for Kylie and Connacht and the rest of the backroom team, that there's a new guy here putting his hand up, and that has to be good for things going forward. Yeah,
very nice player. And again, emerging, I suppose, would have been involved with UL tomorrow night were it for the fact that he is a fresher, and I know they're still in the fresher championship as well, UL at the moment. But definitely has performed very, very well in both games in Waterford and again last Sunday afternoon. And, huge experience for him to run out in the Gaelic grounds in front of a fine crowd and to play against Kilkenny. Learning the trade, learning his game. He's got very experienced players behind him and beside him, and that's only going to be a very positive experience for him. And I know Owen Cody, we're talking about one of the real top players of the game, found those pockets of space really well right across the line on Sunday afternoon. And I suppose, he'll learn from those, when to push, when to sit. And the players around him will educate him better than anybody on that. And again, the system that Limerick play, I think he's the kind of player that is definitely one for the future. He's rangy, but he's still young, I suppose, physically, to develop as well. And there's plenty of left there. And I'm sure Adrian O'Brien will get the very most from him in the next number of months and years in particular. But good to see him. Good to see him there, and he'll be a good player for Limerick right throughout the league. You'd never know. I thought maybe his fellow clubman Darragh Langan may have got a little bit of a shout there over the last couple of games, but Matthew seems to be the form player. But look, plenty of spice there for Limerick, plenty of options, and as I said, plenty of options coming back as well in defence over the next number of weeks. But good to see some younger guys coming through, and Matthew is definitely one for the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd say no better motivation than Darragh Langan to see a clubmate of his maybe just nicking in ahead of him, and showing it can be done as well, of course. Sometimes no greater motivation. Just to move the conversation on, you mentioned him there, Aaron Gillane is back. How about that goal? I was in the press box. I wasn't roaring. I was whispering, is he going to pass it? Is he going to pass it? I suppose if you're Aaron Gillane, you probably don't need to pass it. But would the coach and you, Ger, be encouraging him to square that ball to Cathal O'Neill, or do you just admire the finish that came with it?
Look, I won't say he's bagged many as classy as that. That was absolutely top drawer. I think it'll go down as one of his all-time greatest goals whenever Aaron does decide to move on from Limerick, hopefully not for a while yet. Outstanding. The eye of an eagle, and Aidan Tallis is a really good goalkeeper as well from Lisdowney. Very much an understudy to Owen Murphy for many years, and been very unlucky not to have gotten the berth in the goals with Kilkenny for a while. So again, I thought a super goal. Aaron was quite dangerous. Mikey Carey had a lot to do, and Aaron and Hugh Lawler have had huge battles down through the years. And I suppose Hugh missing for Kilkenny now for the coming championship is a big loss to them. It looks like Mikey Carey is the player they're looking to. But again, I thought Aaron had the measure of him. He had the mark of him. And, as the championship goes on, we'll hope that more ball will end up coming into that central area in front of him. I suppose when you look at Peter Casey, who had a fabulous game, man of the match, probably a little bit further out the field, working hard, picking up breaks at the end of at the back of that half forward line. But I think when, particularly Darragh O'Donovan is so good to give that ball into Aaron. Declan Hannon was brilliant at it as well. And as Limerick evolve, that good ball into space, I think we'll see a little bit more from Aaron that will show some of that classiness that we saw last Sunday, and hopefully more potency and more big scores for Limerick on big days.
Yeah, certainly was talk about from a few supporters that after the weekend they wanted to get as much ball into him, but it isn't as simple as that. But Adam English certainly picked him out for that goal. Look, we're not getting ahead of ourselves. It's 1 win from 2. It's positive. It steps forward, and we'll probably know a little bit more now when Limerick go into the Lions. Then that is Tom Semple's field in the Semple Stadium in Thurles in a couple of weeks' time. So break this weekend for the hurlers, and they'll be moving on to face Tipperary in what is round 4 and outing 3 for Limerick. This weekend is dedicated to football, certainly on the inter-county front, but beneath that, shall we say, at third level, and something, Jerry, you had your hand in a couple of years ago, it is the Fitzgibbon Cup final. It's heading for Croke Park. First time in my lifetime. We obviously saw the Sigerson on Wednesday evening there, University of Limerick getting the first half of their double in the bag. Huge Limerick involvement in this final. University of Limerick versus Mary Immaculate College. Huge Limerick club players, intercounty players, emerging stars. This August to be a fantastic game. It's a fixture that maybe the last time we saw it in the final didn't go the way well, and it's Mary I again coming in as underdogs and looking to maybe upset the star-studded University of Limerick side.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, I suppose, first and foremost, to see the game being played in Croke Park, and it's where it needs to be. It gives the competition the status that it deserves. These are the best players at this age. Some of the best players in the game. We want them playing in the best fields on the best stages, and Croke Park is the deserved venue for this. Second, probably, or first only, maybe second to Thurles, which I think would be another outstanding venue for a Fitzgibbon Cup final. But look, everybody wants to play in Croke Park. I have memories of the final 2 years ago. Not so good for my side. I was on the UL management team, and unfortunately, we didn't get the win in Abbey Dorney on the day. Lost to a very, very good Mary I team, who were the better side on the day. When it came down to the 3/4 mark in the second half, they fought, they got the breaks, they took the opportunities, and we were just chasing a game in the last 10 that we were. It was very well defended by Mary I, and again, Podge Collins, Mark Shannery, and obviously Jamie Wall and others. Cormac McGrath was involved as well before. These are great guys, master tacticians. They know how to close the game out when they're in a winning position, and it'll be no different tomorrow night. They'll have a plan for UL. You have a lot of exceptionally talented individuals in UL in terms of the quality of the team that they have. We've seen it. They struggled the last day to, grind out the win against NUIG, and you just wonder if Sam O'Farrell was that bit sharper with the freeze. What could have happened in additional time? But mark of a good team. They edge it out even when things aren't going so well. It'll be concerning to Brian that the team isn't working as hard as it can consistently, and that's difficult. And I suppose people look in and they see the great players that you have at your disposal. And that is a fact. You have brilliant players in every position and you're spoiled for choices. But sometimes trying to get everybody to gel, to come together, that can be a real hard thing to do. And I was just telling this to someone in the last week, 3 years ago, when I got involved in my first year. It would have been a UL team that would have had the least amount of stars, I suppose, in it. But they were an extremely tight group, a group that worked incredibly hard for each other on the field. They knew their limitations, and we went to Carlow, and my God, not over 2 days, not over 1 day, over 2 days, over the Thursday and again on the Saturday, we eked out a win over what I would consider Carlow IT were more talent in us on the Thursday night. And I would say the same with NUIG on that Saturday. They had better talent than we had, but we just had that spirit and that bond. And I suppose that's one thing with Mary I, they're a smaller college in terms of numbers, but they've got a great bond. They're a very tight-knit group. And Jamie is a fantastic manager. He's a great man to bring that together and bring it out of them. If you've ever been at a Fitzgibbon Cup match in Mary I, you get that feeling of it's a real intimidating place.
It's unique out there, Ger, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic. Everyone's beside you on the line, and you're trying to get a game together and keep it moving, and switches and communicate and all of those things. And there's people talking to you right behind your back, and it's great fun. But and they're up in the balcony up in Mary I, and they're talking down on top of you, and it's brilliant. And I suppose the magic of the Fitzgibbon Cup is in those venues and in those games. And go to Galway, it's the very same. Go down to Waterford, it's the same. Those tight venues, and they're great fun. But back to UL, and Brian has got. He's done a super job there over the last 5 years. He's been with the intermediates before that. He's huge experience, and he will have the boys well primed. And I can tell you, he will have been in their ears after that performance against NUIG. But I think the venue suits UL. I think going to Dublin, into the big stage with the big players, it's only going to be positive for them. And I think this is their, chance to really open up. I expect a good tight game, but I do think my alma mater, UL, will get there, but it'll be a fair one.
Yeah, for sure. We've club versus club in some instances. I know my own Ballybrown have Mikey Gavin, probably most likely a sub for Mary I, but has featured in the competition. And then you've Colin Coughlin, his club mate, captaining UL alongside Aidan O'Connor. We've county teammates against county teammates. There is no other place we get this in the GAA, really. We might get a crossover in the odd schools match here and there, but there's nowhere else in the GAA where we get lads who quite literally will be knowing each other inside out, who are actually playing against each other. We saw brother versus brother, I think, earlier in the Sigerson between the Cork colleges. So that's what makes it magic. And I go to so many Fitzgibbon games. I just love going to every single one of them in Limerick. I think it was at them all this year, luckily enough. It's a fantastic competition, Jared. It's probably one that, until you really get into the teeth of it, you probably don't know probably don't appreciate how good it is, how good standard of hurling it is, and how enjoyable the games can be. Albeit it's not maybe the inter-county level that some people expect, but it's not a million miles off it either.
It's not, and the enjoyment that players get from playing for their colleges, and it can never be underestimated. And those bus journeys, those nights out after big wins, those are huge moments for young people. And we all look at hurlers as athletes and almost professional now, or nearly in names. But this formation and these formative years, after leaving cert and into their early 20s, are hugely important from a social point of view, from a developing point of view, in terms of developing as a player and as a person. And these environments and these moments with colleges teams are just amazing, and they do so much for them as people and as players. And how many, we spoke about Aaron a few minutes ago, and a player that was really emerging and got to Mary I and got his opportunity to play. And that story is indicative of 1,000 others who've broken from there onto the inter-county scene, late developers, I suppose we call them as coaches. And it's huge. It really is massive. And it's until you experience it, as you said, and it's going to the Mary I, it's going to LIT, it's going to those venues where all the student body is out, and it's everything is on the line, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience as a coach. It's even a greater experience as a player, and it's one that we should never underestimate in the GAA as being hugely significant for the development of younger players, inter-county players, or even really solid club players, and obviously again for colleges hurling itself, and that sense of identity. And just looking Croke Park on Wednesday night, what it meant to UL to win the Sigerson for the first time, and what it meant to UCC to lose the Sigerson as well. They were absolutely dejected after, as you'd expect. And it does mean something, and it does have a place in the GAA, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Aaron's, I suppose, emergence. I suppose 2017 was the year he won this competition. So we're talking this time 9 years ago. 2016, he was starting to make his mark, helped Patrickswell to win a county. So he used that to step up maybe to the Fitzgibbon level. He was actually dropped off the panel, Limerick panel, the senior panel at the very start. He was only 19, or not even 19, he was still only 18 at the start of 2017. But suddenly then, kind of by the midway through, given what he had done, John Kiley decided, that Aaron was worth bringing back in. I mean, like, such a sliding doors moment for him. I mean, even Darragh Donovan, I believe, handed him over to free taking duties. That's the story that goes around anyway. So, I mean, what it did for Aaron, and Aaron is probably the benchmark in that regard. But I'm sure he's not alone in that. It's been a huge part of his story. I mean, I look at Skeeton Ballysteen, Kilcornan man, Oisin O'Farrell. He's got 6 goals in the competition so far. With no disrespect, he's playing junior hurling in Limerick. He's obviously trying to get onto the Limerick panel. It's a huge platform for him to go and show his talent, and he's doing it day in, day out so far for Mary I, and he's going to try and do the same at Croke Park tomorrow night.
Absolutely fantastic. And Oisin's a lovely young man. I've had the pleasure of coaching him, albeit for a very short time at a younger age group. And he's great family, and obviously from Fines in County Limerick, and not a traditional hurling stronghold, but great interest to go over to a Skeeton Ballysteen, Kilcornan, who are doing great things there at the moment, trying to develop and come forward. And what a moment it is for that club heading to Croke Park on Friday evening to watch a clubman play in a Fitzgibbon Cup final. And that can't be underestimated as to how good that is for everybody within the club, and the lift and the connection that it gives to them, to the members, to that person, Oisin in Croke Park. And you mentioned him, he's in the form of his life at the moment, and we are going to see him with Limerick, and again over the next couple of years, a player that's developing in a really positive manner. And this Fitzgibbon campaign has been fantastic for him. Would you bet against him scoring a couple of goals tomorrow night? No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I think the first three of them came within 12 minutes of the competition starting. So if he can even get close to that tomorrow night, he'll be having some game. But look, there's plenty of Limerick connections. As you said, there's club players there. There's like Jimmy Quilty, who've been on and off that Limerick panel. I know injury has curtailed this year. Again, big opportunities for these guys to show what they're about. And from what I saw, Jimmy had a fantastic semi-final. And there's more than that besides. I could keep going down through the Limerick involvement. But it is great. The competition's been dominated by those two Limerick sides in the last decade, maybe 11 editions. It doesn't look like abating anytime soon. I mean, when you see Adam Screeney he's only made his debut in the competition this year. You've Darren McCarthy, Young Hurler of the Year. You've Adam English, who was nominated for Young Hurler of the Year, and on and on and on. It just shows you why you should be watching this game, because it is the creme de la creme, really, of the emerging talents in hurling as well.
And it is, and we just spoke about, like, go back to the football last night, the Sigerson, and look at the connection for Tipperary football to that last night, and the development of those players for we'll call a non-traditional football county. And again, it's all there in terms of bringing players through, and all of the players you mentioned there, the Limerick lads, just brilliant for their clubs and their families to be going to Croke Park tomorrow night to play on this occasion. I suppose UL have been very lucky in terms of, the college is expanding, the population numbers are going, the courses on offer are getting broader and broader. And again, we're seeing it even in my own school in John the Baptist in Hospital, where we have potential hurlers coming out and they're talking about trying to go to UL to play hurling. And this is the mindset when we're trying to talk to them about careers. But it's there, and it's developed that name, and that really good name in terms of development of players, and where they want to go to continue their journey, not just academically but hurling wise. And look, it's going to be a fair, tough affair. It'll be edgy, it'll be close. I'm sure it'll be very tactical. Knowing Jamie, it probably will be. And I think UL have the talent, they have the individuals, and I think they'll rise to it. I think they'll have seen what the semi-final was for them when they gathered together in the past week. They probably only get an hour and a half to review everything and prepare, but I think they'll get it right when they go to Croke Park. And I think they'll be at the right side of this, and it will be 4 Fitzgibbons in 5 years for the University of Limerick.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you now, but I did go to college there, so I'm slightly biased, but I never picked up a hurling anger for them. But they're aiming for a 10th title. Mary I going for their 4th, and all 4 basically coming in the not too distant past, the last decade or so, since the breakthrough in 2016. So look, it promises to be a great game. I think it's a 7:35 throw in live on TG Cahir. So obviously a lot of people who will hear and listen to this won't be making the venture to Dublin, but it is available to them on their television screen. So I would encourage you to tune in. Ger, not forgetting the crest on your chest there. Knockaderry were celebrating a momentous occasion from 2025 just last weekend. I believe Mr. Carey, as you said to me, was your special guest. Kieran Carey, that is, of course. Great for any club to be celebrating a county title, especially when it's a club that had been starved of success, and a club that is trying to rise up the hurling ranks again. So Knockaderry did that by winning the junior title in Limerick in 2025.
Fantastic occasion on Saturday night at the Woodlands House Hotel. We had 180 there for our victory social, and as you said, Kieran Carey, our guest on the night. But brilliant, our 3rd county title, 1947, 2004 and 2025, winning county junior hurling titles. So again, small community, success.
I hope you only remember 2 of them, Ger. You don't remember the first one.
I was lucky enough to be part of 2004. I was quite young, but I have my winner's medal, and I got my few minutes in the field when we beat Hospital Herberstown in Bruff in a famous day. 110 to 10 points. A man by the name of Tom Condon played in his first campaign in 2004 and marked no lesser of a player at that time than Damien Rail in that county final. And we were blessed on the day. We had a bit of luck, and it stayed with us. And you could say the same in 2025. We had a bit of luck through the campaign, particularly I think in that quarter final against Monaleen, when we were down in injury time and managed to score 2 to rescue extra time and go and win. And again, in the county final against Doon, it was with us, that little bit of luck. And you need that. Any team, whatever grade you are, you need to have a little bit of a rub of the green. But we have an incredible bunch of young men there, being well coached and driven, but very ambitious. Lovely group. We got relegated 2 years ago, and it hurt really bad. And in fairness, there's been a redoubling of efforts to get back to intermediate. And look, now the taste of success, as Kieran Carey said on Saturday night, will hopefully push these boys further forward. It was hard to remember when we had a victory social before last Saturday night, because it has been so many years before that. But one of the things is that we hopefully won't be going as long without having that into the future. But a brilliant year for the club. Lots of really positive things happening. Our under 14s won a double, albeit at the lower grades. Our under 16s won a Division 4 county final in hurling against the Skeeton Ballyseen Kilcarden in a fantastic game. Beaten in the football final by our neighbours Ballingarry by a point. We ended up in the lowest grade in minor, but in a county final after thinking we may not have had a team at the start of the year, and we're beaten by again our neighbours Ballingarry by a couple of points in a game that was decided late on. So look, these are really positive things. I know there's a lot of club volunteers who listen to this and will identify with the same, I suppose, situation that we're all in: volunteerism, numbers, just keeping things going and recognising the good years when they came. And look, 2025 was a fantastic year for Knockaderry, and our own facilities development has rolled on through 25 as well, and we've spent quite a bit of money, but we've got brilliant facilities now, and we're beginning to see the benefits of that, not just for our players and for hurling and camogie players, but also for our community as well. And we've gotten fantastic support, and cannot be underestimated, that support, and it makes everything that little bit easier when you're on the field trying to do things, and when you're off the field trying to do things as well.
Yeah, very well put. I suppose I've come from a club that never had a difficulty really fielding teams, but when you say it there that you weren't even sure if you were going to have a team, was it what grade did you say, under 16s, was it?
Minor,
I suppose,
under 18.
Minor, was it? Sorry, yeah. And that's a very important grade, because that's where the continuation to adult grade comes from, and I suppose that there's definitely people listening to this from clubs that have had that struggle, and I suppose it must be great pride, first of all, to even get teams out on the field, because you are a very small community just tucked in there between Ballingarry and Newcastle West, and a little bit off the beaten track, as in terms of off the main road. So it isn't always easy. Everyone loves to be winning, everyone loves to be rising the ranks, but I'm sure it isn't always easy just to even get that green jersey out on the field.
No, and it was minor, and we had 18 players for a minor team, and we stuck with it, and we brilliant management team, great, very enthusiastic lads, and it was tight there over the summer. We played a couple of games, and it was just 15 getting out onto the field. And Knockaderry is a small community, Knockaderry Clonca. There's very little building going on. We don't have a housing estate. We've nothing really in our villages. And even one of my messages on Saturday night to the faithful who were there was, make Knockaderry your home into the future, because we do have an issue with numbers down the track, in terms of we're seeing, particularly like at junior infants in the primary school, and even before that in the infant school before that the numbers of players coming through are small. So obviously boys and girls, but then obviously 50% is boys, and we're talking about 5, 6, not even in some classes coming through.
You counted on one hand. You couldn't even have a school team. Yeah.
No, it is, and again, I know I'm talking to an awful lot of clubs when I'm selling this story, all across Limerick, who are having similar issues. But we just need more young people to build in our community and to stay here, and again to get that opportunity to be able to do that as well. And that's a whole myriad of other issues that are outside of the remit of the GAA, but that's something that we have to be mindful into the future. We did have this previously where we had to be joined for many years. And again, look, joining brings its own issues, is the best way to put it. When you're able to put a team out on your own, you have control in terms of what you do, and you are able to get all the players onto the field to play games, and that keeps people involved, and it keeps people coming. And even from our own social support point of view, from our community, having Knockaderry teams gives more of a connection to those people as well, to go and support them at under 14 or 16 or minor, compared to having a combined team. But look, the reality is Knockaderry will have combined teams in the future, not the too distant future, because the numbers just aren't there. But I will say at the moment, the club is working very hard from top to bottom with all our young people in both hurling and camogie, hurling football and camogie, and a credit to them. And, you know, not too dissimilar to any other club, smaller club in terms of numbers, who are working extremely hard to keep players on the field and just keep the club going forward.
Yeah, a couple of minutes more, Ger, of your time, if you don't mind. The byproduct of winning that Premier Junior title was obviously he got a home draw against Kilbrittain, and you mentioned Jamie Wall. I know his brother was front and centre. You didn't know it at the time, but they were and are now the best junior hurling club in the country for 25-26. Maybe not the honour you wanted to have hosted them, but a great occasion. I was there myself. A great occasion for the club to be able to host such a game, and obviously to be in the thick of it. Didn't go your way in the day, but nevertheless a memory that I'm sure everyone will cherish into the future.
Huge. And you know, we've a huge amount done in terms of our facilities. We closed our field for 2 years, and everything was about this summer and getting it open, and we got it open in June, and then there was a quick push on, and the boys obviously were doing well in the championship, and in September we got lights up, so we have our field is fully floodlit, not match spec, but pretty good. And I suppose that was a big night and a big moment for us as well when that happened in September. And as it rolled on, obviously, into the late autumn, and we had success, and going to Timplenoe to play Kinmare in the Munster quarter-final. There was big hope was that we'd have a home game, and it was great culmination to the year. Obviously, hugely disappointed we didn't win the game on the day. We prepared to win it, but Kilbrittain a better team, and we would shake their hand and say that we weren't close finishing, even though it was tight enough in up to half time, but definitely a better side, and fair play to them. And we could see on that day that there was a great chance that they might go a lot further, and they did. They proved how good they were. But you know, for our volunteers and for our committee, and to be able to showcase ourselves on that day and our community, it was just amazing. It was the biggest crowd there was ever at a game in Knockaderry, bar none. And you know, just to be able to turn that out for our village was something that will stay with us, and something we're hugely proud of. And we're hugely proud of the team and the boys, but hugely proud of our club as well, and the way people just step up and support, as they do in most communities when it comes to the GAA, and especially in rural communities where people, that's the lifeline. But brilliant, and as I said, brilliant for our facilities, and just kind of a tin hat on 2025 there, with that all happening against Kilbrittain in a Munster semi-final.
Yeah, for sure. The facility, I'll be there myself the weekend. You're back hosting the Junior B football competition, close to my heart in a lot of ways now. Knockany are heading there, having won the Junior B football. It's Paddy Feehan of Cork. It's a competition that I suppose I could be wrong, and this is my assumption. You won the Junior B football in 2006, I think it was. And did you decide, well, if no one's going to give us a Munster competition, we may well host it ourselves? And from there, you've basically hosted it ever since. Obviously, a nod to Castletown Ballygran as well, who helped you out in the last couple of years as well. But it's a competition that actually has worked very well for your club, and I suppose it brings people into the community again through the kind of winter and spring months as well, and you know, gets you up and running as well for the new year as well. Yeah,
so it was a conversation that was had with Joe Mulcahy, who had been involved with Killeedy at that time in terms of their own Junior B hurling competition. They had started maybe 2 years before. They had kicked off with their version. And it was a passing conversation, really. And I suppose once we won that county final, and all things are great when you win a county, we decided to push on and see could we organise a tournament in Knockaderry where we could test ourselves against the best in Munster. And we got to the final ourselves. We were beaten by Clan Gale of Cork, well beaten in the final, actually. Really good side. And was from there we just snowballed on year on year on year. And you know, I actually didn't realise it was 20 years until you said it earlier on. And there it is. It goes like that. And great testament to committees, past and present, to our volunteers who have kept it going, and the enthusiasm for it. And we love it. We love hosting it. It gives us great connections with clubs all over Munster. It's a lovely special moment for clubs to represent their county and come and play in a Munster competition. And the honour of hosting that has been fantastic. And as you said, Castletown-Ballygran hosting us over the last number of years when our own pitch was out of commission was greatly appreciated. And what a brilliant, what a great club as well. And Joachim and everybody over there have been absolutely welcoming to us and helping us out in every way they could to allow the competition to continue. But we use it as a fundraiser. There's no point in hiding that fact. It's a brilliant fundraiser for us at the start of the year. It has kind of pushed us on in terms of facilities development and getting our pitch right and more sand-based and durable. Good news for you, Tom. The sods that are in the goals were grown in the farm in Croke Park up in
Right, I have no excuse. I have no excuse.
up in Dublin, and they're a hybrid sod laid by Nicky Green from the great Nicky Green from Ballybricken. So there'll be no issue with the goal mouths or no holes or burrows there. So all of these things have contributed to and pushed us forward.
Very good. I had a list of excuses here. I'll have to take that one off it. So, but no, it's great. And obviously, I was there. I was a sub when Ballyround won it against Croman of Kerry in early 2018. I mean, even that day to have Donncha Walsh, you know, playing for Croman and Sean Bon O'Sullivan, you know, like the competition has. I couldn't list them all now, but there's been great players. Inter-county players have lined out in it, great clubs and small clubs and big clubs and second teams, and you know, it has brought all sorts of people to Knockaderry, and you know, and memories to go with it. I only met Mike Mann last week from Ballybrown, and he's still going on about it, so that'll tell you how much it is. Yeah. That's how much is embedded in folklore in Ballybrown, you know, having won it, like, so.
Well, I'll give you the flip side of that, Tom. I had a connection with Donncha Walsh last year through another team, and we spoke about it often. And it's one of the sore points for Donncha that Ballybrown lost. I can tell you that. But again, you know, from his point of view, they have won that competition previously. That was their second final they were playing against yourselves back that time, and obviously coming again now. And Sean Bon O'Sullivan still playing for Croman and will, I'm told, line out at some stage in Knockaderry over the next couple of weeks. And you know, Croman is down there, Killardlin. It's a fair old spin, but they're fully fledged and fully invested in this, like any club has been that has come for it. And there has been obviously the games, but the social element of it as well has been brilliant. And we've had many a great afternoon, great evening in Knockaderry after games, socialising with the teams that have came. And that's, as I said, our own volunteers, that's a big part for them too, in terms of meeting new people and making new friends. And yeah, we love hosting the competition. And as I said, one of the memorable games as well, if I can take a second to indulge you, was that Valentia Islanders game against Kildimo Palace Kenry way back. An absolutely outstanding game of football. And you know, the great Mick O'Connell,
13 maybe, was it? Or
yeah, could have been a bit beyond it. The great Mick O'Connell standing at the gates in Knockaderry and the gates of the club and getting his photograph taken, and you know, unbelievable for us, one of the great footballers, idolised by so many, and an outstanding game that Kildimo Palace Kenry were very unlucky not to have won on the day, and look at the heights that they have scaled in football thereafter. So it has been a springboard for some teams. through the years. But again, we see teams coming back as well, and as I said, Cremon coming back, and they'll be strong. But brilliant for Knockadary now this weekend for their club and community, representing Limerick in a Munster competition. And as we know ourselves
for
in
the first
Knockadary,
time. Yeah,
when
it's
does
been
it
said in
happen?
the dressing room. Yeah, first time ever Knockadary actually, representing Limerick, and to have that honour is great. I know not to bring it back to the Ballybrown thing, but Ballybrown now have won the Junior B double only last week.
Yes.
So and I'm sure they hold that proudly. And it was mentioned even in Killeedy on Saturday. There was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 lads that crossed over. Was it 8 years apart?
Wow.
The memories will be made for whoever it is over the next 2 weeks. You have the semi-final, obviously ourselves on Sunday. The other semi-final is a Croman and Clooney Quinn, isn't it?
Clooney, yes.
Yeah, of Clare in the following week, and then the final then in the early days of March. All going to plan, and if the rain will stop as well, of course, we have to keep that in mind. But I know it's brilliant to hear about it, and brilliant to be involved in it. The bus is booked anyway. Ger will be on at the weekend. For a go at the Cork City boys. Ger, I said 30 minutes of a chat. We're here 50 minutes later. We could be talking all night, but very much appreciated your time on Treaty Talk, and congratulations again to all in Knockadary on their success in 2025 and continued success as chairman and all that goes well going forward. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you over the weekend and beyond. All right, Ger?
Sure. Tom, thanks very much, and good evening, and best of luck to Knockadary at the weekend. And a pleasure to be with you this evening.
Yeah. So, folks, great to have Ger Downes there with us to look at plenty of Gaelic games action, particularly, obviously, looking at Fitzgibbon and indeed Knockaderry. Some other news this week with Matt away. We'll have to quietly mention some other successes. But first, Hurling Ballybrown were the Junior B champions at the weekend, defeating Silvermines in Killeedy in a tight game, 19 points to 16. Andrew Cliff, the player of the match, or the man of the match on the day for Ballybrown. So they are now Munster champions, looking to go all the way. They have All-Ireland semi-final to come on Sunday week, and then hopefully from their point of view they'll be heading back to an All-Ireland final, which of course Silvermines could get back to as well. So 19 points to 16 winners in that one. Heading for football now, Jimmy Lee's Limerick look for their maiden win of the 2026 National Football League. They will face off against Wexford this weekend on Sunday. It's a 1 p.m. start in McNeville Park. Another home game for Limerick following that 114 to 18 points reverse at the hands of Down last time at Wexford, who came up with Limerick, met with Limerick 3 times last season. They won in McNeville Park by, I think, 2 points. Limerick got the better of them in Croke Park in the Division 4 final, and then in the quarter-final of the Tailteann Cup, Limerick got a comfortable enough victory with goals leading the way for Limerick on that occasion. I think Josh Ryan chipping in with a 2-pointer as well, if memory serves me correctly. But Wexford have started this season very, very well indeed. They had a victory away to Fermanagh in Enniskillen, the opening round, 113 to 12 points, and they backed that up with a very, very comfortable victory, 23 points to 9 over Laois on home soil back on the final day of January, the Saturday, the 31st. So coming into this one, Limerick occupying 5th spot thanks to that draw with Laois. There's Laois beneath Limerick on scoring difference. Clare and Fermanagh rooted to the spot to the bottom at the moment, although results at the weekend could see them climb out of this. This is part of back-to-back fixtures for Limerick. They'll be actually 3 weeks in a row for Limerick. They're away to Sligo in round 4 next weekend after this Wexford clash, and then they will host Clare on the 28th of February, also at McNeville Park. So big opportunity for Jimmy Lee's men with the home games coming up, 2 of the next 3 on home soil, and that would be obviously 3 from 4 given the down game. They'll be looking to improve their performance and indeed match it with a result against Wexford in this Division 3 clash. What else have we on the notes this week? I suppose just to mention the Sigerson, we touched on it there with Ger briefly. UL winners of the Sigerson at the week on Wednesday night in Croke Park. Fantastic first ever success for them, beating UCC, a club or a a college that knows so much about this competition. Aaron Neville of Newcastle West, an unused substitute on the day, but will get his medal, of course, having been involved throughout the competition for UL, being part of the panel. So well done to Aaron, the only Limerick connection, I believe, on the playing front. Anyway, in that UL victory, there was success for Temple Lanton, and just trying to find it. UCC, well, Matt will want to hear about this one. Sarah O'Brien of Temple Lanton, 2 goals and 2 points from play. She got player of the match in the Ashburn Camogie final, played over the weekend. 2-2 from her from play, ending a 23-year drought for University College Cork in the pursuit of Ashburn title. And they beat UCD in DCU's grounds. So in fairness to Sarah, a fantastic contribution on the day. And just to mention some of the other Limerick involvements, over the weekend, there was, of course, who else have we had? We had the Purcell Cup victory for Limerick, but just before I mentioned that, Ciara O'Riordan was also, apologies to Ciara, part of the Blackrock. The Blackrock Effin player was part of the UCC victory, and Ciara Curtin, also of Temple Lanton, she lined out for UCD, but unfortunately, obviously for her and Robin Conlon of the Piershick, they ended up on the losing outfit for UCD, but it's UCC with the Ashburn spoils. And this one at Purcell level, Dave Geedy, the Limerick senior camogie manager, he was part of the management team alongside Danny O'Sullivan of Gillane Palace, Mary Kennedy of Ahan, Megan Ryan of Cricora, Sinead Barry of the Piershick, and Aisling Condon as well, part of their management team with UL's Purcell. This is their second string team, so plenty of Limerick involvement here. Senior and under 23 players, the likes of Anya O'Tierney, Naomi Ryan, Carla Griffin, Ella Meehan, and Emer O'Donovan getting themselves a medal. They also had club players from Limerick, Jane Meany for Cricora, Emily Breen, also Cricora, Monoline's duo, Faye Coffey and Ellie Madden. They collected Purcell winners' medals. So 9 Limerick players involved in that panel. So Covartigos to them. And attention quickly turns for Dave Deedy and indeed a number of those players to the National Camogie League. It is 2 p.m. start in Cappamore this Saturday as Limerick face down in their 1B clash, the first camogie game of the year. So first outing at senior level for the manager Dave Deedy and indeed his backroom team. They'll hoping to build on some positive results for the team in the league last season and start 2026 on a winning front. So best wishes to all connected there. And finally, to mention the Limerick ladies footballers, unfortunately, were well beaten by Laois at McNeville Park. It is a very youthful Limerick side, it must be said, and going through plenty of transition of players at the moment. But they were defeated by Laois in their round 3 clash in ladies football. So it's 0-3, unfortunately, for the Limerick ladies, and they are on a break week this week, time to recharge and reset, and they will be away to Louth in round 4. So we'll keeping an eye on that. Matt should be back next week. We'll discuss plenty. I'm sure he'll want to touch on UCC's victory in the Ashburn. We'll remind him of Sigerson, and we'll see indeed how the Fitzgibbon washes out. But for now, folks, that is it on Treaty Talk. We shall talk to you over the weekend and indeed hear from us next week on